Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my backyard. Today is November 22nd and this is my weekly shop update. So, of course, I think the only thing we've been talking about the last few weeks is this project here, the sawmill. I've been really trying to put as much time as I can into getting this thing operational before it gets ridiculously cold here in Minnesota. So tomorrow the video on the lifting post should be out. That one's sponsored by Wrangler, and I'm waiting on their approval to publish that one. But that's going to cover the installation of the Acme rods, the extension post at the bottom, and the extension at the top that will house the roller chain that connects the two posts together and drives them together. I did have a whole bunch of problems last week getting this thing installed. I'm pretty sure I encountered every single possible problem that I could along that process. I thought it was only going to take me a couple of days to get those lifting rods installed, but it ended up taking me like an entire week. A lot of it came to getting the mechanicals installed, and as you'll see at the end of the lifting rod video, I didn't include all of the motorization stuff because I'm not quite there yet. I did manage to burn out the motor that I had originally planned to use to raise and lower this thing. Not really sure what happened. I had the saw head about an inch above the lower coupler here, and I turned the motor on. It turned the post and lowered it down all the way until it was sitting on top of the coupler. And then on the VFD, I reversed the direction, I think, and tried to run it again to try and get it to go back up. I was ramping up the hertz, ramping it up, all the way up to 60, and then when I got 60 for like a few seconds, poof. And I haven't looked at it to see if it's actually burnt out, but I'm pretty sure it is. At this point though, I'm not quite sure if it was actually in reverse, because the motor would turn these rods to lower the saw head at 25 hertz. So I was expecting it to come on and start turning at least a little bit, maybe at like 30 or 40 hertz, but didn't end up happening. So maybe what happened is it wasn't actually reversed and it was trying to drive this thing down into the coupler, which it can't. So it ended up being too much load for it and ended up burning up. That's all right though. That's part of the fun, I guess, or part of the learning experience. I have a replacement motor ready for that. I got a motor with a gearbox on it, so it has a lot more torque. So it should be fine regardless. So today I started working on getting the blade guide set up. I already made a few of the parts. So I made a mounting plate to go up on the carriage, and that's going to hold a post that comes down and contacts the actual bearing. And then I'll also have a second post out here that'll have a pole coming out of it, so you can easily push the bearing, the guide bearing, in and out to put it at whatever location you want. I did put the blade on for the first time, and that was kind of interesting. The blade ended up being a little too short, which is funny because I ordered blades that were slightly longer than I thought they needed to be. The original blade length was 25'2". I ordered 25'8", and I probably need 25'10". That's not really that big of a deal now though. I made a little bit of a modification to the idle block thing, or the idle shaft box thing. I just notched a piece out of it so that it slides further in, and now it's fine. So not too big of a deal there. Just a funny little mistake. I don't know if it's a mistake. Funny little thing. So the lesson there is, when the beam was off, I should have put the blade on to see how well it fit given my positions of the wheels, but that's all right. I made it work. Not too big of a deal. Now the other somewhat interesting thing here is how off the wheels are out of the box. The idle wheel is tilted back and in, so that'll have to be adjusted as well, but I knew there was going to be some adjustment there, but just looking at it for the first time, it is pretty bad. But that's just part of the process. When I get this thing ready to start sawing, that'll be the last thing I do, is get it all tuned up and configured correctly. All right, it's really starting to come down. Let's head back into the shop and take a look at some viewer projects. First this week is a Walnut Vanity with live edge backsplash and Ebony Inlays by Bryan. The Vanity is attached to the wall with a French cleat, which allows it to float. The pedestal and sink are onyx, backlit with LEDs. And Bryan has a great video over on his YouTube channel making this incredible vanity, so be sure to check that out. Next is a Footstool by Bryan. This was made of leftover pieces of fir 2x4s. The top is stained and the base is painted and finished off with a satin lacquer. Next is the piano end grain cutting board by Tomy. He made this cutting board for his wife, and he based the design on her piano, for color and look. The keys are made from maple and walnut, and he used cherry for the rest. Tomy has a video on his YouTube channel where he goes into a lot more detail on the challenges presented by making a cutting board with this pattern. Last of this week is a Lego table by Bryan. A friend of his was building a Lego-themed treehouse for Make-A-Wish and asked if he would make a small table as part of the furnishings. Bryan decided to make a few of the Lego studs mechanical. One stud is spring-loaded and functions as a light switch. Another stud unlocks the back panel for a secret compartment and access to change the batteries. Bryan has a video on his YouTube channel making this table, so be sure to check it out. So if you didn't see already, April posted the video on her channel this week on how we made these serving boards, so be sure to check that out. She also mentioned in the video that she's giving away one of these 2¼ horsepower Triton routers. Well, so am I. So there'll be a link down in the description to the giveaway page where you can enter to win the router, and that giveaway is open to anyone in the US or in Europe. I know, I'm sorry, it's not worldwide, but it is slightly better than US only. So I think that's all I have for this week. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about anything I talked about today or anything on the sawmill or back here in the shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking. Wood.